make a statement, not where you come out and win just because you have better overall players on the floor, just because your talent is better. You've got to come out and show them that, look, we've struggled these last couple of games, but this is still a team that's going to be competitive. This is still a team that's going to make some noise in the ACC. And, I think it'll probably all start with the point guard, Cole Anthony.
Yeah, for me, going into this game, outside of winning, the most important thing Carolina's got to accomplish, they've got to gain some sort of confidence in who they are. Mm-hmm. And they've got to start finding out what kind of team they are. Because even though it's still only December, you leave Wofford and you go to Spokane to play Gonzaga. The Kennel's one of the toughest environments in all of college basketball. You leave there and you go to Las Vegas to play UCLA. Mick Cronin's got those boys playing a little bit tougher in his first year out there in Westwood. So this is kind of, and I talked about this after the Ohio State game, in basketball, when you lose games, and because you play so many, it can snowball. And suddenly it's 4 out of 6, and it's 6 out of 8, then it's 8 out of 10, and the season's lost. Carolina's lost 2 in a row.
Right.
And so if somehow you find a way to lose at home to Wofford, now it's 3 in a row, and you still got to go play 2 tough games before you go home for Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, does the week off not seem like it came at a really, really good time for this team to sort of step back, reset, maybe realize, okay, we just played the 2 toughest defensive teams in the country. I know we're not a great offense, but it's part of the reason why we struggled these last 2 games was because we were playing against such good defensive teams. It won't be like that going forward. Let's gain some confidence this week in practice and come out against Wofford.
Yeah, it definitely came at the right time. You get guys to get a little bit more healthy, mainly Baycott as he's still coming back from the ankle, and Harris and Francis after their first game action. But no, it was exam week, so the schedule was a little bit light for them. But it just gives them a chance to sit back and just breathe and just get back into the routines of playing or being at home. And I think it's important for him. I think playing in Carmichael is going to be a little bit different atmosphere for him. It'll feel like a more collegiate game because there's going to be a lot less fans, and I think that'll be interesting. But I think that's something Roy Williams has stressed is that we got to get confident. After the Ohio State game, he seemed mad. He seemed pissed. Virginia, it was frustrated Roy Williams where he wasn't cussing, but you could tell that the lack of production on the offensive end has got him really befuddled because this has never happened, ever.
Not on this level. They've had their struggles before with scoring the ball, but usually that's, okay, well, we're failing to reach 90. Not we're failing to reach 80. Now we're failing to reach 50. You're right. It's totally different. And the other thing is I think where some of the frustration has come in is when you look at the 3 losses in 2 of those games, if you make your free throws, you win, which again, you're not going to make all your free throws, but even if you just, cut it in half with the misses,
it's a different
you're in the game. You're in the game with a chance to win. And that's where I feel like he might be the most frustrated right now. Probably that and the fact that the last 2 games, you're getting clobbered on the glass, which is not like Roy Williams' teams ever.
Right.
So yeah,
you mentioned Cole Anthony, and we're gonna have a little discussion about him right now.
Okay.
This is a guy that came in with all the praise in the world, and this is a guy that was
including from us on this podcast.
And
yes.
And look, maybe this is his growing phase as a freshman point guard under Roy Williams. Mm-hmm. You don't ever know that he's growing until you see him visibly struggle. He's visibly struggling on the court. He's got the most turnovers through 9 games by a point guard since Larry Drew. Okay?
Oh, no, not that name.
He's got a 3.6 assist rate, but he's turning the ball over at 3.8 times per game. His field goal percentage is not great, 37% from the field. He's 68% from the foul line. And the problem is he's our best option, and he knows it. He made a comment after the Virginia game that it's hard to score when you got 5 guys defending you. I get that. That does not need to be said publicly because you basically just threw the other 4 guys that are on the floor with you under the bus.
Which is not accurate because let's be brutally honest. Since they went out to Atlantis, Armando Baycott's been better than him on the offense.
Yeah, no.
More efficient, I would say. So that's not true.
Well, look, I get he's a freshman. He's gonna. I mean, I'm not gonna say toughen up or grow up. His play's got to pick up because
right.
if Carolina wants to get where they want to get to, they're never going to be anything without a great point guard.
In terms of that comment in the locker room, I would like to see someone like Brandon Robinson, Garrison Brooks, one of your senior guys, or veteran guys, senior guys, because Garrison's not as a senior. But I would like to see one of those guys walk over and say, look, man, look, you can't say that. You might not have realized when you were saying it what you were saying, but basically you're saying that nobody's helping you out. So just watch what you say. Just make sure that we're sticking together. Don't let this turn us against each other in the locker room, and let's try to find a way to get this thing turned back in the right direction. On the floor, I mean, the thing that I think is the most misleading is whenever you watch a broadcast of a Tar Heel game, they are all about Cole Anthony, and they are saying, oh, how great he is and everything like that. Look, I mean, I think he's definitely going to be a once-in-a-generation type guy at the NBA level. Right now at the college level, I mean, I think he's good, but the problem is shooting 36% from the field is not – I mean, it wouldn't be the biggest issue if you were shooting the ball 3-4 times a game. He is shooting in the mid-teens a game, leading the team in shot attempts, and you're shooting in the 30s. I mean, his last 2 games, he shot 8 for 30 from the field. When you're shooting at that type of volume, that can't happen. I mean, you just got to be more efficient. And the part of the problem is okay, I'm not saying it's easy to put the shots in, but he's taken some shots that he definitely shouldn't have. His shot selection has definitely decreased, as we've gone throughout the year. The looks have gotten worse. And, one of the things that we've seen from him, we didn't see him drive the basket a ton early in the year, but he's not going up strong with the basketball. He's leaning away from the basket, trying to draw fouls as opposed to trying to put the ball in the basket. I think that's got to change over the next couple of games here, especially, against Gonzaga. That's going to have to change, or else it could be a long night. And maybe this is the game where you get some confidence. And this is the thing. I'm not trying to knock on this young man and say, okay, we would be better off without him. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that really since that third game of the year against Gardner-Webb, he has not been the same player. That is where, after that game, it started to drop off, and he really just hasn't recovered.
Yeah, I mean, we knew the defense was going to pick up on him, especially for Virginia against Notre Dame to start the year. But you're right. He's got to be smarter with the ball and stronger when he attacks the rim. And I think he's good enough and smart enough, and he's got a Hall of Fame head coach and a former NBA player as a father that's going to help guide him the rest of the way, because if not, it could be a rough year for the potential number 1 overall pick in the 2020 NBA draft. But, all right, with that, who wins on Sunday and why?
One more thing that I just wanted to mention about that. It's not all on Cole. We're going to need guys that are moving without the basketball, helping to set screens to try to free him up. That's one of the big ways that you can do it. I think Carolina will win this game. I do believe. I think this will probably still be a game where they'll score, I'll say, in the high 70s, maybe crack that 80 mark. But, I think that Wofford is probably going to be able to hang around a little bit, just because, I mean, look, this is something new for this team too. That's the only thing. We wish this game was in the Smith Center, because it's an environment they're comfortable with. They haven't played in Carmichael, so it is going to be a little bit different. You're still at home. You have the home crowd, but it's a little bit different because you haven't played on that court before. You don't have the familiarity with everything. But I think, Carolina will find a way to pull out the victory. I just hope that, like I said, it's more because they went out there and took it from Wofford than Wofford, pretty much gave it to them because Carolina has more talent.
Yeah, last time when we previewed Virginia, I went on a limb and picked for us to win the game. That didn't happen. I'm going on a limb and say that we're going to win the game. And we're not only going to score 80, we're going to shoot better than 50% from the field for the first time all year.
That's bold. I'm not going to say that.
I think you're going to get a Carolina team that's going to be motivated. I think they're going to be a little pissed off at themselves for the way they've played, and their head coach has gotten their ass the last couple of practices. And then you're going to see a team that's ready to play on Sunday at 4 o'clock in Carmichael Auditorium.
All right.
And I think they'll get a win, take another step before they head out west for a week, and that's, like I said earlier, that's the most important thing this on Sunday. Outside of winning, you've got to be confident when you go to Spokane, because if not, long night. That's an understatement. I can't even say what it could be.
Okay,
because Gonzaga's top 10 good.
I'm not going to preview that in depth, but also the other thing about Gonzaga is they are really banged up, like us. Their depth is thin, so there are some things there that might prevent that from being as bad as some people might think in their wildest imaginations. But yes, if they come out, struggle in this game, have to pull away at the end by like 10, that's gonna be a weird podcast before Gonzaga. But I mean, the way you just described this game, we literally didn't even have to, make our selections. We could have just, when it came to keys to the game, we could have just taken the keys from the football game against Mercer. Gain confidence. Go out, beat a team that's really not better than you. Gain confidence for the next game.
That's pretty much it. I don't have to come on here after Wofford and scream my head off because we didn't rebound or something like that. If that happens, podcast may be deactivated because it'll be an explicit version. So
there is a button for that on Spreaker that we can check, and it will put it out, I believe, on iTunes as an explicit version of the podcast.
That may become an option.
It is an option
later in the season when we get heavy into ACC
Let's try not to do that. Let's try not to do that, though, if we can.
All right, so before we get out of here, I want to remind you guys, check out all the stuff we got going on HeelToughBlog.com. We'll have Wofford previews up from me. Football-wise, you've got some transfer portal news with a Carolina wide receiver. Recruiting, we're now less than a week away from early National Signing Day. That'll happen, of course, next Wednesday, as the Tar Heels will start finalizing their 2020 recruiting class. This is the first full year recruiting class for Mac Brown. No surprise you've seen that class, and sometimes in the year in the top 10. Probably figure it'll be a top 15 class when it all settles down, but we'll have you covered on the HeelToughBlog.com. Check out the Heel Tough Blog podcast. Anthony just recorded a recruiting one with our guy Zach Hubbard earlier in the week. Go listen to that. And all that is available on the HeelToughBlog.com. I want to encourage you guys to subscribe to the podcast wherever you find our podcast. We're on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, you name it, we're there. Just subscribe, give us a like, give us a review. We'll greatly appreciate that. I want to thank you guys for listening. And as always, go Tar Heels.